Albert Einstein famously said that we cannot solve problems with the same thinking that they were created. And the reason I like this quote is because in my client work especially, I find that we all get trapped in these thought loops and these cycles. I see them like hamster wheels. And very often, people, myself included, but also my clients, solve problems by talking about them and by running on the hamster wheel and thinking about it in their beta wave, brainwave state. That's that sort of hypervigilant, get things done in the world, looking out on the horizon. And we operate our baseline, most of us, not everybody, we operate our baseline behavior paradigm. I was going to say our personal operating system. It's a little strange to say, but it's how my thinking is shifting as we go along. And so in the ordinary world, at least the one that I come from and possibly the one that you come from, the way we solve problems is by thinking about them and by talking about them and talking about them to other people and then doing something about them. And this is a tried and true method, except when we have rigid thought patterns. And those who are educated in the psychedelic space will know that one of the benefits of tools like that are that it actually takes the rigidity of the mind and the thought loops and shifts them, sometimes just a little bit, but all it takes is just a little bit of a jiggle to change how you see. And then when you change how you see, you change everything. And so normally, when we get caught in these loops, we're working with our executive functioning, our conscious mind. Our frontal lobe, technically, is the last to develop, or so they say. And I think that there's actually other features of the brain that perhaps we haven't discovered in modern day science that develop after. Emotional regulation is one of those, but that it goes through the frontal lobe and also the limbic system. And that's like the last part of adulthood that doesn't mature until your early 30s, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And so when we're just using our frontal lobe, then we can get caught there. There's almost like these systems, these navigation systems. And indeed, there's actually a very special part of the frontal lobe that the OFC, just in case you're wondering, that actually predicts our reality, that predicts the outcome of it. Am I going to get a reward? Am I going to get punishment? And we know, not me, but neuroscientists know that when people have impairments in the frontal lobe, they have difficulty calculating risk. And they also have difficulty with controlling their behavior. And with gambling, if you give them a gambling task, they won't update their prediction models. They'll just keep running into the losses and running into the ground because there's an impairment in the prediction mechanism of the frontal lobe, of the OFC. And I believe that, and I'm just throwing this out there, I haven't done research on it, but I believe that some of these thought loops, some of this rigid thinking and going in circles, trying to solve problems from the same position of consciousness that they were created, which, as we've already shown and lived through and echoed through Albert Einstein's quote, it's futile and it's actually inefficient. So what do we do? What do we do about it? Did you know that the subconscious mind is a very powerful tool? There seems to be a roadmap inside, and this is where I believe that the intuition system is also housed. And it's funny because you could be walking down a dark alley and your conscious mind can tell you, no, I'm okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. Logically, I don't see anybody. And but your body can actually be sensing that somebody's lurking in the shadows. And there could have actually been a signal from your peripheral vision that interlinked into the intuition part of your navigation system in your operating system or in your brain, and sent signals to your heart and to your palms, because your heart would actually respond and your palms would get a little sweaty. And this would send a signal up to a different part of your brain. And your conscious mind, thinking that there's nothing to worry about, would just continue driving you, your avatar, into the alley if it had an option. When you are in tune with your intuition, when you are in tune with your subconscious mind, you receive additional levels of information. Your job, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to learn how to trust that and bring that further into your conscious awareness. I do offer intuition training and coaching if you're interested in that, but let us move on. So the power of the subconscious mind is that it decodes things that your logic brain tells you isn't there. Isn't that amazing? If we just took the part of your brain that is dominant in most binary societies, if we just took that and said, this one wins, we're always going to favor it, you know what would happen to humanity? We would die off. We would lose our species. We would lose our fitness, because we would walk headlong into the shadows, blissfully unaware. There's nothing to worry about. Was that a red flag from so-and-so? Oh, no, there's nothing to worry about. You know, that's how wolves hide. And they hide behind masks and the surface of gaslighting. Oh, no, I didn't say that. It's you misunderstood. This is where your intuition can save your destiny, can save your life. At its very base level, your subconscious mind, your intuition, both actually, feed forward into your survival. And then following that, it actually opens you up to extrasensory perceptual abilities if you are inclined to be on that track. And not everybody is. Not everybody is awake to that, but I know a lot of my listeners are. And we can define it in any number of ways, but let's just say it's a thing that happens. There are additional abilities that the logic mind will say, no, that doesn't exist. No, there's nothing to worry about. Let me just walk into the dark alley alone in the middle of the night, feeling creeped out. Who's going to win? You or the wolf who's waiting for you? You see, the subconscious holds the keys to abstract thinking, to puzzles, to pictures, to solutions. And this is why in my client work, and if you've worked with me, then you've experienced this already, we go through periods where we talk a lot and then we stop talking and we halt. And this is the time to allow your subconscious mind to start to make connections that you might not otherwise have made if we just continued the conversation. This is why studies in neuroscience actually show that working persistently on a problem, especially obsessively, actually doesn't solve the problem faster. I'm massaging the final conclusions. I'm not talking like a scientist. I'm just giving you the total like bird's eye view. The key to solving problems more efficiently and more creatively, to find those Albert Einstein moments of brilliance, those aha, the key to doing that is to actually shift your attention onto something else, like a hobby or creating something. They even found TV, and we all have opinions about that, right? But entertainment, reading a book, actually shifting your focus, taking a break. You know what happens is that you take those thought loops. This is my interpretation now. You take those thought loops and you set them aside, but guess what is still working? Your subconscious mind. And so when we allow for the subconscious to speak to us, we allow for more levels of information, for additional insights, for creative explorations. And this is why sometimes working is not the way we are used to in society. Sometimes working is drawing, is painting, is sculpting. And then you can solve the problem differently. You see, the subconscious mind has a program. It has a default setting. And what is beautiful about this is that most people know this now. And Dr. Joe Dispenza has done amazing work in helping to educate everybody in the mainstream, for the most part, that follows anything vaguely meditation or mindfulness or esoteric. And essentially what we now understand is that these patterns and programs are laid down in very early childhood. And your default settings run in the background. Just like if we were going to solve problems, shifting our attention away, and you've got your subconscious mind churning, well, guess what also happens when you're not necessarily trying to solve problems? You are making judgments and connections and opinions about the world in the background, whether or not you are aware of it, especially if your attentional focus or your seat of awareness is in the dominant part of your thinking functions and your frontal lobe and your thought loops. You could have an entire series of belief systems brewing underneath the surface that then secretly, because it's out of your awareness, this is also in the shadow, as Carl Jung would say, feed up into your view of reality, your perception of reality. And this is why reprogramming the subconscious mind is such a powerful tool to use in combination to thinking the way that you're normally used to thinking and talking and receiving information and processing that information. From a high level cognitive neuroscience perspective, that is indeed how you navigate reality. But how you judge reality, how you place your opinions on top of it, how you feel wounded, that is much, much deeper in the subconscious mind. And so to understand the linkage, the cycle of where do your thought loops come from? Why do you ruminate over certain relationships and not others? Why do you feel triggered here but not there? For that, it's helpful to go deep into the subconscious mind. This is why I'm very, very excited to share with you that tonight I will be launching my first subliminal messaging artistic expression for you if you are interested. So the concept behind it is that all of this series so far has been me talking and talking in a slower modality than I would in an ordinary setting to help you shift into a semi-meditative state to start to tickle the subconscious. Some listeners tell me that they have images that arise, that they have connections, that they understand things even if they can't quite articulate them. And now we're going to take that philosophy and we're going to take it even deeper. And the beauty about doing subliminal art is that it doesn't have to make sense. And in fact, when you listen to it the first time, you might get one level out of it. And then you might not process some of the other things, some of the other poetry, prose, word salad that you might be hearing. It's like listening to lyrics. It's exactly like that, where at first it doesn't make sense, but you're drawn to it and you don't know why. And there's only like one or two lines that really stick out to you. And then you go back to that song to listen to the one or two lines, and then you get another piece and then another piece. And so if the work resonates with you, then I invite you to join me in this next leg of our exploration of reality shifting. The subliminals are going to be focused on reprogramming that subconscious mind, allowing solutions and connections to come up and to help facilitate your shift into the next dimension, into your next lifeline. And your results may vary, but my intent behind it is that you can close your eyes and listen to it in the background or in meditation. I am, at this point, going to actually not have visuals and video and just do text and maybe a black screen, because I want people to actually go inward versus outward. And what I have found is that it's a lot harder to access the subconscious mind when the eyes are open. And I don't know why that is. And there's something about pulling inward to a meditative state that facilitates that connection. Some people might disagree, but for me, that's my process. And there's something about shifting into another brainwave state that also allows you to access different levels of information. We've known this, science has known this for decades now. And so I have also composed binaural beats to facilitate a brainwave shift that I am very excited to share with you. So with that, the last thing I want to say is that your subconscious mind is not the enemy. Sometimes I hear people talk about wanting to eliminate it or remove it. It's actually a powerful tool if you know how to yield it, if you know how to develop a relationship with it. And the upbringing that we've had, the exposures that we've had, the archetypes that we have, however it works, and there are many, many theories about this, and I have my own personal theory brewing, but we all come with an archetype, and this is embedded and loaded into our subconscious mind. And so what happens is that as you are navigating your life, you have filters and functions that actually point in certain directions and lead you in certain ways almost as though it is ensuring that you master certain lessons, or some people might say karma, if you believe in that. These are all words and concepts. We don't have to be heavily attached to them. But the idea is that when you understand that it's leading you to your freedom, when you understand that it's leading you out of danger, if you would just listen, when you understand that it's leading you to your purpose, not what you think you should do, but actually where your golden egg legacy project is, if you would open up to the unknown, it's such an amazing gift. So we will talk soon, and I'll see you on the other side.